Hello and welcome to Investment Insight. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. Now let's break down what's happening in the markets today in a clear and simple way. So, imagine spending $10 million on a state-of-the-art Formula One racing engine. You bring it home, and then you realize you have to somehow duct tape it into a rusted 1998 Honda Civic.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's honestly the perfect way to visualize the problem right now.
Right. I mean, that is the exact multi-billion-dollar crisis currently facing the AI industry. And it is reshaping the entire global economy right beneath our feet.
It really is. I mean, we've been totally captivated by these headlines, AI passing the bar exam, writing flawless code, generating hyper-realistic video.
Yeah, the flashy stuff.
Exactly, the flashy stuff. But when the world's biggest, most established companies try to actually install that brilliant AI into their daily operations, they're just hitting a massive brick wall.
Because the engine is a masterpiece, but the chassis is from the last century.
You nailed it. It just doesn't fit.
Which brings us to our mission for today's deep dive. We are exploring a massive hidden shift happening right now. The AI war is no longer about who can build the smartest computer program in some isolated research lab.
Right. That game is completely over.
The whole game has changed. It is now exclusively about who can actually get these incredibly complex programs to function inside everyday legacy corporate offices.
Yeah, the actual deployment.
Exactly. And, if you're an everyday consumer, or especially if you're a retail investor navigating the current U.S. economy under President Trump, understanding this shift is absolutely critical.
Oh, 100%.
Because we're in this distinctly pro-business, deregulated climate right now, and this shift dictates exactly where billions of Wall Street dollars are flowing.
And ultimately, it's going to dictate how your own workplace operates in the very near future.
Right. So the transition from a cool novelty to an actual workplace tool is it's proving to be agonizingly difficult.
It really is. And to understand why, we have to look at what the industry is calling the great AI bottleneck.
The bottleneck.
Right. Yeah, based on recent analysis and specifically looking at comments from John Gray. He's the chief operating officer of Blackstone.
The massive private equity firm, yeah.
Right. He explicitly stated that the biggest hurdle in enterprise AI right now isn't the processing power. It's not the intelligence of the models.
Okay, then what is it?
He says the bottleneck is a severe lack of skilled implementation partners.
Wait, really? So let's break down the mechanics of that bottleneck for someone who, doesn't work in enterprise IT.
Yeah.
Why can't a Fortune 500 company just buy an AI subscription, plug it in, and instantly become 30% more efficient?
I mean, it sounds simple, but because an AI model needs to be fed data to be useful, and a traditional company's data isn't neatly organized in one easy-to-read folder.
Right, it's probably a disaster.
Total disaster. A major bank or an insurance company might have 30 years of disorganized data spread across, dozens of outdated, isolated systems.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they have thousands of PDFs, ancient localized databases, unstructured emails, and, proprietary software that was built before the iPhone even existed.
Wow, okay, so a modern AI model can't just magically reach into a 1990s server and understand what's in there.
Exactly, it's impossible.
Ah, okay. So going back to our Honda Civic analogy, it's not just that the engine doesn't fit under the hood. It's that you have absolutely zero mechanics on staff who know how to rebuild the chassis, rewire the vintage electronics, and custom weld a new transmission to make it all connect.
That is precisely the issue. The AI is brilliant, but the bridge connecting it to the company's messy reality just doesn't exist.
So they need mechanics.
Lots of them. And this realization is causing an absolute earthquake in Silicon Valley right now.
Because, traditionally, the tech industry's entire business model is built on zero marginal cost, right?
Right. You write a piece of software once, and you sell a digital license for it 1 billion times with almost no extra effort.
But suddenly, because of this deployment bottleneck, AI companies are realizing they can't just sell a digital license and walk away.
No, they can't. To make their product work, they're being forced to become highly labor-intensive service and consulting organizations. They have to supply the human mechanics.
Which completely flips the script on what a tech company is supposed to be.
Yeah.
You don't want to hire armies of human consultants to go office to office.
No, that kills your profit margins.
It totally slows you down. So if these AI giants desperately need thousands of these specialized mechanics overnight, where are they getting them?
Well, according to the data, they are teaming up with Wall Street.
Wait, Wall Street? They aren't partnering with other tech companies. They're going to high finance.
That's the major pivot. Looking at recent data on Anthropic, they have officially announced a massive $1.5 billion initiative.
Okay.
But their partners aren't in Silicon Valley. They partnered with Blackstone, Hellman and Friedman, and Goldman Sachs.
Wow. And for those who might be unfamiliar, Hellman and Friedman and Blackstone are massive private equity firms.
Exactly. They buy up dozens of companies, optimize them, and hold them in a massive portfolio.
Right. So what are they doing with Anthropic?
Together, they are creating an entirely new AI-native enterprise services firm.
Wait, so Anthropic is essentially building a separate spin-off company whose sole purpose is to act as the mechanics.
That's exactly it.
They are sending their engineers directly into these massive financial institutions to physically install the tech.
Yes, and they are getting incredibly specialized. The recent analysis shows they didn't just hand Wall Street a generic chatbot.
Okay, what do they give them?
They recently released 10 specific AI agents designed exclusively for banking and insurance.
Okay, let's clarify that distinction, because I think a lot of people, use those words interchangeably. How is an AI agent fundamentally different from the chatbot I use on my phone to help me write an email?
So a chatbot is essentially a very smart librarian. You ask it a question, and it gives you an answer or drafts a paragraph based on what it knows. But an agent is more like an autonomous intern. You don't just ask it a question, you give it an objective.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
You can say, audit these Q3 financial statements against last year's records, and the agent will autonomously open the accounting software, extract the relevant data, run the comparative analysis, draft the final credit memo, and format the pitch book.
Are you serious? It does all of that on its own?
Yeah, it executes multi-step workflows.
So it's actively doing the job that usually takes a team of junior investment bankers 3 weeks of sleepless nights to complete.
Precisely. And the adoption rate for these agents is staggering. The data shows that 40% of Anthropic's top 50 clients are now financial institutions.
Wow, 40%.
Yeah, in fact, earlier this year, Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei actually shared a stage in New York with JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon.
Oh, wow. In the banking world, that is not a casual photo op.
And not at all. That is a signal of massive, undeniable trust from the absolute peak of the traditional financial sector.
I do have to push back on that trust factor, though. Because if Anthropic's agents are actively auditing statements and writing credit memos, they have to be reading highly confidential market-moving M&A data.
They are.
So how does a massive, highly regulated entity like JP Morgan allow an external tech company's AI into its most sensitive files?
Yeah.
I mean, regulators would have a field day if that data leaked back into the public AI model.
Oh, absolutely. And that is the exact regulatory nightmare that makes this new mechanic approach absolutely mandatory.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, traditional banks operate under incredibly strict SEC regulations and data sovereignty laws. They cannot just upload their clients' private financial data to a public cloud server run by a tech giant.
Right. Okay, so it's like Anthropic isn't asking the bank to bring all their gold out to the public town square to be weighed.
Exactly.
Instead, Anthropic is sending their own mechanics down into the bank's highly secure underground vault. And they are building and operating the AI entirely inside the vault, where the data never touches the outside internet.
That is a phenomenal way to put it. By building this dedicated enterprise service firm with Wall Street, Anthropic ensures the AI operates safely on the bank's own internal on-premise servers.
So the model is essentially trapped inside the bank's regulatory walls.
Exactly. It adheres to their specific compliance rules, and the data never leaves the building. But you need human engineers to custom build that secure vault architecture.
That makes total sense. You need the human labor to navigate the red tape and build the secure environment. Otherwise, the regulators shut the whole thing down.
100%.
So Anthropic is putting on a suit and tie and walking down Wall Street, but OpenAI is doing the exact same thing, right? Except the data shows they have a much more aggressive eye toward the public stock market.
They do, yeah. Based on recent analysis, OpenAI is building out an entirely separate entity, literally called the deployment company.
The deployment company. Wow, very subtle.
Right. And just like Anthropic, they're doing this alongside private equity heavyweights. We're talking TPG, Bain Capital, Brookfield, and Advent.
I mean, those are some of the biggest financial players on the planet.
They are, and they are raising over $4 billion for this specific deployment entity.
$4 billion.
Yeah. But the mechanism of how they plan to use that money is what's truly fascinating. They aren't just hiring individual engineers one by one.
What are they doing?
The data shows they are actively looking to buy 3 different existing AI service and consulting companies.
Wait, so OpenAI isn't just partnering with consulting firms, they are literally acquiring whole companies just to harvest their human employees.
Yep.
That is a total departure from how a software company usually operates. I mean, they are buying bodies.
Yeah, exactly. It's called an acqui-hire in the industry. They
Yeah.
desperately need thousands of consultants and engineers who already know how to install complex technology into legacy corporate systems.
So they are buying the mechanics in bulk.
Yes, exactly.
If you're a retail investor looking at the current economic landscape, this is where the puzzle pieces start to connect.
Oh, definitely.
We are in an environment right now under the Trump administration that is highly receptive to big business and deregulation.
Right.
So the window for massive tech initial public offerings, IPOs, is wide open. Is OpenAI just aggressively buying up these deployment firms so they can lock in massive corporate contracts and look like a stable, mature company before they ask everyday people to invest?
That is exactly the underlying strategy. But we have to carefully distinguish the timelines of these 2 AI giants.
Okay, how so?
Well, Anthropic is a potential future IPO candidate, but there's no confirmed timeline. OpenAI, however, is making very explicit moves, targeting an IPO for late 2026.
Oh, wow, that's soon.
Yeah, and their CFO, Sarah Fryer, has even publicly mentioned plans to reserve shares specifically for retail investors.
Interesting. And to justify the tens of billions of dollars they're going to ask the public for, they have to prove they aren't just a trendy research lab.
Exactly.
I mean, looking at the data, we saw reports earlier this year that OpenAI's enterprise revenue already hit $10 billion.
Right, and we have to understand why Wall Street values that specific type of revenue so highly.
Why is that?
Because in the tech world, there is a massive valuation difference between consumer revenue and enterprise revenue. If you have $10 billion coming from everyday people paying $20 a month for a web subscription, investors get nervous.
Sure, because consumers are fickle. They can cancel their subscription tomorrow if a cooler app comes out.
Exactly. But if that $10 billion is coming from enterprise revenue, meaning the AI is so deeply wired into the accounting and HR departments of a Fortune 500 company that they physically cannot operate without it.
That revenue is practically permanent. The churn rate is 0.
You got it. Wall Street will assign a massive valuation multiple to sticky, recurring enterprise revenue. That's why OpenAI is raising $4 billion just to deploy the tech.
Because the deeper they bury the AI into the corporate workflow, the higher their IPO valuation goes.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the ripple effect of all this. Because if Wall Street banks and massive private equity firms are now the primary distributors, the main mechanics of AI, how does this fundamentally change the everyday business landscape?
It's massive.
Because honestly, this sounds like an extinction-level event for the traditional tech middlemen.
It really is a seismic shift, and recent analysis points to 3 massive disruptions happening right now.
Yeah.
First, Wall Street's role has fundamentally transformed.
Okay.
Firms like Blackstone or Bain Capital aren't just passive investors writing checks anymore. They have become the actual aggressive distribution channels for AI.
Wait, let me piece this together. Private equity firms own dozens, sometimes hundreds of smaller companies, right?
Right. Everything from national logistics chains to regional healthcare providers.
So if Blackstone owns a portfolio of 100 companies, they don't just politely suggest that those companies try out Anthropic's new AI.
No, they don't.
They can mandate it across their entire portfolio instantly. That makes them the most powerful software distributors on Earth.
You've nailed it. They take this hyper-customized AI, deploy their new army of mechanics, and force it into the daily operations of every smaller company they own to slash costs and boost profit margins.
Bypassing the traditional software sales process entirely.
Completely. Which naturally leads to the second massive disruption.
Right. What happens to the companies who used to get paid millions to do these IT upgrades?
They are in very serious trouble. This is a direct threat to the old guard of the tech world. Specifically, traditional IT consulting firms like Accenture and Specialized Software as a Service, or SaaS companies.
Just to clarify for everyone listening, SaaS companies are the ones that sell you those hyper-specific cloud-based monthly subscriptions for things like payroll software, HR management, or customer relationship tools.
Exactly. Think of generic, off-the-shelf software. Anthropic CEO actually issued a pretty stark warning about this.
What did he say?
He noted that many existing SaaS companies might lose their value entirely or just go out of business. Because if you have an AI agent perfectly trained by Goldman Sachs mechanics to write your exact style of financial reports, why would you ever pay a monthly fee for a separate, clunky reporting software?
You wouldn't. I mean, the AI just does it natively.
Right. And this shift is highly reminiscent of the Palantir playbook.
A data analytics giant.
Yeah. They're famous for a concept called forward-deployed engineers. They don't just mail you a software CD. They send software engineers to literally live out of a suitcase, sit inside the offices of their clients, and custom-build solutions on the spot.
Wow.
And OpenAI and Anthropic are adopting this exact same hyper-customized, hands-on deployment model. It makes generic software look completely obsolete.
It's the difference between buying a tailored suit versus a baggy, one-size-fits-all t-shirt from a department store.
Yeah.
The customized version just performs better.
Exactly.
Okay, so what is the third massive shift we are seeing from this?
The third shift is a fundamental change in how we evaluate the success of an AI company. For the last few years, the hype was driven entirely by consumer web traffic.
Like, how many millions of people downloaded the app this week?
Right, or how many viral AI-generated images were shared on social media. Moving forward, those metrics won't matter nearly as much. Success will be judged by integration.
How sticky it is.
Yes, it's entirely about how deeply the software is buried into the back-office workflows of the global economy.
Let me try to simplify this whole ecosystem with a final analogy, just to make sure we are really grasping the scale of this takeover.
Let's hear it.
It's like the traditional banks and private equity firms used to just be the people who financed the construction of the shopping mall. They just handed over the money.
Right.
But now they're deciding exactly which stores go inside, they're building the storefronts themselves, and they are personally stocking the shelves. They aren't just the landlords anymore. They're operating the entire retail ecosystem.
That captures the dynamic perfectly. The financiers are now the operators. They have realized that the real money isn't in building the F1 engine in a lab. It's in being the exclusive, highly paid mechanic who installs it into the engine bay of the global economy.
So, to quickly summarize this deep dive for everyone listening, because this shifts our entire understanding of the tech landscape.
It really does.
The era of just building smart AI is officially over. We've moved completely past the novelty phase. The new game, the real war, is deployment.
Yes.
It is all about sending in armies of human engineers backed by billions of dollars of Wall Street money to plug that AI into real-world legacy businesses, whether it's Anthropic embedding themselves into Goldman Sachs or OpenAI raising $4 billion to buy up consulting firms ahead of a 2026 IPO. The finish line is exactly the same. They're racing to own the corporate workflow.
And if we connect all these dots, it leaves us with a rather profound question to consider as this plays out. We started by talking about the difficulty of integrating these models into legacy systems. But if Wall Street banks and massive private equity firms become the exclusive gatekeepers, the sole mechanics, and the primary installers of the world's most powerful AI, who actually ends up controlling the future of corporate data?
Oh, wow.
Are we inadvertently handing the keys to the future of the entire economy over to Wall Street?
That is a fascinating and deeply sobering thought to leave off on. We've gone from expecting technology to just be a simple plug-and-play smart TV to realizing the people installing our technology might just end up owning the whole house. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button.